Good evening, America. I am the Big Red One guy, reminding you that together we must break the machine. In my video yesterday, I mentioned a little bit about Vice President Kamala Harris's VP pick for her after her undemocratic anointment as the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. She picked Tim Walz. Well, I'm just gonna go over a quick article about him being the fucking scumbag that he is, with some stolen valor, claiming that he was in war when he wasn't, and you know, it's not in doubt that he served, right? He served in the Army National Guard for 24 years. So there's no doubt in that. And I'm not gonna shit on his service in the National Guard. I served in the National Guard and I got activated to go to Iraq, right? And I got attached in the as an infantryman to the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 1st ID. All right. And we got sent to the middle of the shit. So what a lot of people don't realize is that there were a lot of National Guard rotations in the Army through for both Iraq and Afghanistan. So, him being in the National Guard at the time during the global war on terror is not a bad thing, right? Like, he could have easily been activated. But what this fucker did is once he found out about the warning order, he decided that he was going to fucking retire. Okay, and then he's been going around for years saying that he served in Iraq. You can find the videos. You don't have to believe me. Just go find the videos for yourself. They're all there on what do you call it, X, and I'm pretty sure people are posting them on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but you can find the videos of him talking out his ass about being in Iraq and stuff like that. And it's been posted a couple of times. It came up when he was running for Congress before he became the governor of Minnesota. So there's a quick article. They were trying the Harris campaign was trying to scrub it a little bit for him to help him because he's getting hammered in the news this week in regards to his service in the military, or the fact that he was claiming that he was somewhere where he wasn't, which was bullshit. So, he has said that he's been in Iraq. He's also said that he's been in Afghanistan, Operation OEF, and the little bit I know from the little bit of digging, I haven't dug too deep into it, is because there's just so much information out there. Uh, you can find it. I'll leave a link to the article. So this article is from the Gateway Pundit, and this was dated yesterday. And it says, "Caught red-handed, the Harris campaign is scrubbing. What do you call it? They're scrubbing shit. Okay, and you know, uh, it's just not a good thing, man. Really, it's just not a good thing. I don't know what the deal is. Why he wouldn't just be fucking honest about it. Nobody's gonna kill him for being 20. He did 24 years in the National Guard. That's not an easy thing to do, even for the reserves. So, like, most veterans would have no problem with that. I think the issue is that most, especially combat veterans like myself, we take issue with him. We already know he's a scumbag, right? But we take issue with him, saying that he's did things that he hasn't. So it just is what it is. And, I'm going to get into this article, read a little bit of it. It's just a pretty quick article. Called Red-Handed, the Harris campaign scrubs Tim Walz's false military record from website after he was caught inflating the rank. So that's another thing he did. Kept telling people he was a command sergeant major when he never made rank as a command sergeant major. There's like a whole different thing. Yeah, I'll get into that afterwards. Let's get into it. It appears that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has been caught red-handed amid growing evidence that Walz has lied about aspects of his military service, an act known as stolen valor. The Harris campaign has scrubbed claims that Walz has served as a retired command sergeant major from their campaign website. The Kamala Harris campaign scrubbed his bio page and replaced it with another bio, and then here's the tube thing. This was another example of stolen valor. Waltz has not retired command sergeant. So this is what the original was, August 7th. For 6 terms as governor, Walz represented Minnesota's first congressional district, a conservative leaning district where he was only the second Democrat elected since 1890, as a when he was, what do you call it, a congressman. Son of an Army veteran and a retired command sergeant major in the Army National Guard himself, Walz. There's nothing wrong with that, except for the rank. Was the ranking member on the House Veterans Affairs Committee, whatever. And the next day they scrubbed it. For 6 terms, Governor Walz, yeah, this is what they changed it to. He said this, they started off the same way. The son of an Army veteran who served as a command sergeant major. And they took the National Guard out, which is stupid, right? Because you could have left that in there, okay? And it's just ridiculous. Says Kamala Harris's presidential campaign updated its online biography of running mate Tim Walz's military service amid Republican efforts to question his record in the Army National Guard. It's not that he served. Again, we all know that's like, that's we know this. Like, there's proof that he served, so that's not even an issue of him serving. Right? The issue is that he's been telling people that he was a command sergeant major. He never made that rank, and on his, I saw a copy of his DD 214. I don't know how someone got that, and it said that it did say on his DD 214 command sergeant major, but then there was an addendum to his DD 214 for the guard, saying that he never made that rank and that he's actually got out as a master sergeant. And then that has actually been corroborated with the people that actually served with him. Again, there are plenty of videos out there for you to see. You can see for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Uh, Says the scandal which comes, Walz, the governor of Minnesota, served for 24 years in the National Guard before retiring in 2005 from the military to run for the U.S. House. So in 2005, he was supposed to deploy. But actually, it might have been 2003, but 2005, I was about when I was coming back, where that was at the beginning of Iraq, essentially, the second phase. When he became the most senior enlisted soldier to serve in Congress. The scandal, which comes just days after Walz was announced as Harris's running mate, has become a matter of widespread scrutiny after Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, also suggested that Walz had pulled out of a tour in Iraq. So this is J.D. Vance posted this the other day, and you guys will be able to hear
When
it.
the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful.
Yeah, so I mean, you can find the whole thing online again. Um, this is just something that shouldn't be done, right? Like, you should own up to your shit. But again, this guy has been for a long time now. He has been telling people that he was a command sergeant major. He actually was a master sergeant. And there's like a big difference between being a master sergeant and a fucking command sergeant major. Okay. The things that a command sergeant major does as opposed to what a master sergeant will do is different. Like, command sergeant major is the senior NCO of a command at a battalion on the battalion level. Okay. And regiment and stuff like that. Right. So, like, he's in charge of all the NCOs throughout the whole battalion. Okay, he's on the battalion level. It's usually a colonel that's in command of the battalion, and he's like he's essentially the right hand man. And it's not the XO, it's the sergeant major. They do a lot of stuff, and that's a E9. Okay, enlisted rank of E9, command sergeant major. There's also a regular sergeant major that's usually on the there's usually a subject matter expert, but they're not in command of the whole battalion. They have rank, and you got to do what they say. So you can't just sit around and be like, "Huh, he's just a sergeant major." That's not how it works. And they're usually like an expert in the field or something, whatever the MOS is and stuff like that. And they're usually on the battalion level as well, uh, as advisors and stuff like that. As opposed to a master sergeant, they're on the they use a lot of times they're on the battalion level. Sometimes you see them on the company level, uh, as part of a company, right? And they're the principal like NCO at the battalion level, sometimes higher. Again, sometimes you see them as on the company level. It's not they're on the same rank as a fucking first sergeant, who's like I want to say the equivalent of the job, description, like, sergeant majors on the battalion level, which is way more troops, right? A first sergeant's usually on the company level, and he's in charge of all the NCOs and stuff like that, and all the troops. So this guy going around saying that he was something that he wasn't, and then he just let the lie perpetuate itself. He could have fixed it a long time ago. He didn't have to fucking just be a scumbag and be a dirtbag about it. He could have fixed it. He just didn't want to, right? Because it sounds better being a command sergeant major than it does being a master sergeant, which is not easy to achieve. Okay, uh, let alone in the National Guard, they take forever for fucking ranking up and stuff like that. It takes forever in the National Guard. Might be different now, but it takes forever. Especially depending on your MOS. If you're in infantry, getting rank in the infantry, once you become an NCO and just getting to NCO is like forever. It's just what it is, you know. I never made it. I stayed at a specialist. I reenlisted uh, after 9/11, and I was already in E4. I got out of the Marine Corps as an E4. And I went into the National Guard because I was thinking of doing something in my civilian life. And then I reported to, I reported to my unit, and like a week later, after I swore back in, and I met with the first sergeant. There was nobody else at the unit. I met with the first sergeant. He's like, "We got our warning orders. We're headed to Iraq. I have to send you for training." I was like, "Okay, it is what it is, right?" So this man could have easily he could have subdued the claims, and he could have corrected this shit a long time ago. We're talking about 20 years from now. Ago, okay, he could have easily corrected it, but he chose not to. You know, that's the kind of person he is. He's a scumbag. Again, do your due diligence. Don't take my fucking word for it. You can see all the bullshit he did as a governor. Okay, in Minnesota, all the crap. There's been actually a mass exodus of people leaving Minnesota. Good people, good Minnesotans. You know, however you pronounce that, what they're called. Good people in Minnesota, man. I've met some pretty good people along the over the years from that state, and was once a pretty state. You know, he recently, I think he changed the state flag to look like the Somalian flag because they have a Somalian population there. So instead of having them assimilate to being in Minnesota and being American, he's gonna just fucking turn the state Somalian. It's ridiculous. That's the kind of person he is. So anyway, I just wanted to get into that stolen valor shit. He could have, that's a big issue with me with him. Other than him being a fucking Marxist, um, just saying he was doing stuff in the military that he didn't is bullshit. And you should never tolerate that from anybody. So I mean, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? It's the kind of person he is. So anyway, America, I am the big red one guy signing out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And see you in the next video. And if you have any comments, go ahead and comment in it. And listen, if you're being a dick, I've been getting some dick comments. I don't pay attention to shit. Okay, so like if you're an asshole, if you have a difference of opinion with me, I have no problem with that. This is America. We don't have to agree on stuff. Okay, but if you come at me and you insult me and stuff like that, I'm just gonna get rid of your shit and probably block you. I'm too old and I don't have time for the bullshit. But if you have a legit thing that you want to say it, but don't be a fucking rude asshole. Uh, it is what it is, I guess, with people. People hide behind the fucking keyboard and stuff like that. So, but I don't have time for any of that shit. And just so you know, I'm not gonna do it. So, anyway, signing off, America. Have a good night, have a good weekend, and I will see you next week. I usually do lives on Sundays at 9. I won't be doing it this week. Like I said in my video yesterday, I just got back, and had some medical stuff, and I was doing some family stuff. So still got some stuff I have to do this weekend. I won't be able to go live on Sunday, but I'll be back in full force again next week, and we'll be going over. It's just election season, and we'll be going over stuff as it pops up. Have a good night, America. Have a good weekend. God bless you all. God bless America. Have a good night.